We're here this afternoon with Joe Ferrier. He's a candidate for Muskegon County Drain Commissioner. Joe, tell us a little bit about your background and why you decided to run for Drain Commissioner and why you're qualified to be Drain Commissioner.
Well, background, I've been around the construction industry since a young teenager. Okay, mom raising 7 boys. We pitched in together and built her a house. And I went to school for house construction and excavating and so on. So in my younger years and throughout my life, I've worked in excavating, construction, things like that. In fact, I worked on an extension of the Alaskan pipeline way back in the old days. So in my youth, about 21 years old, I veered off from that a little bit. Well, kind of. I started my own restaurant when I was 21 years old. And I was in the restaurant business, you know, so like regular people, I tried this and that. Did really decent for about 6 years or so, but then got back into the construction, okay? So, and I also did real estate brokerage for that time, so they both kind of really complemented each other throughout the years. And so that background with the education, went to school for legal terminology, contract, business law, business management. I got degrees in sales and so on. And so that kind of just makes me well-rounded working with the community. And basically I've been serving the community my whole life in the type of work that I've been doing.
What do you see the responsibility of the Drain Commissioner being?
Well, what the responsibility of what is written, of course, you know, working with the stormwater, drain water, or dealing with repair of retention ponds, detention ponds, and so on, that's all part of it. I'm thinking more of responsibility to the people. Okay, a lot of people don't know what a drain commissioner does, don't even have a scope of it, and there's a lot of things going on around us that we're unaware of, whether it's not being publicized or whether we're too busy in our lives to research it for whatever reasons. So I'm finding that there are indications that there will be some extreme costs going out in the Drain Commission projects. And I feel that people need to know, not get blindsided. So in other words, when Ravenna and Casnovia especially, when they have projects going on there, they need to have input. The Drain Commissioner has the right to go ahead and do anything they feel necessary and levy any fees they feel necessary. And that's, in fact, it's the only elected office that has the right to actually borrow money or levy any fees they feel necessary without a vote. So people need to pay more attention to, oh yeah, that sounds great, we want this, and that we want this and we want that. We want them, oh yeah, next they're going to Twin Lake and they're going to be connecting Twin Lake to the wastewater system. Well, you know, but people need to know more about what's going on and if it's going to cost them money and how much in their own pockets. And that's one thing that I find that is a necessity that hasn't been done.
Well, talk about the wastewater system and as it pertains to your office, because there's obviously since Sappi left, that was one of the biggest customers, if not the biggest, and now the wastewater has all sorts of capacity. How does the Drain Commissioner play a role in filling that capacity?
Well, there you go, and that's part of what they're doing, and I have mixed feelings about that, and you have to look into it, as we know that with Sappi paper mill gone, the wastewater obviously has lost a huge income, and thus there was a lot of connections to the sewer system going on and around the end of that, and you know, looking into it. In Dalton Township, Muskegon Township, which my opponent was a big part of forcing all those sewer connections throughout the area. Some of it very justly needed. Some people kind of felt that they didn't need to hook up or they shouldn't have had to, because especially when it hurt the equity and they lost equity. Some people actually even lost their homes. I personally know of a couple of them that, well, they just bought a new home for full price, and right after they bought the new home for full price, well, they didn't know, and the following year, in come the sewer, $7,000, $9,000 assessment. Then when they tried to sell their home, of course, that was before the the reduction in the economy in the first place, but there was already problems with it, so then they couldn't sell it for what they owed plus their assessment. So it's really nice if they would know these things ahead of time. So, and that's the same thing I'm saying for Cazenovia. All right, they need to find out, even though the system that they're using is at its brink, something needs to be done, some improvements, modifications, things. They should have input. They should have input, and they should know what it will cost them over the years. Same as when they intended, they're planning on getting water from Twin Lake and bringing that to the wastewater system. People don't know anything about it. Well, some people do. But I think that more people need to learn more about it, and I think they should have input, you know. But yeah, so the Drain Commissioner does need to fill some of that usefulness of the wastewater system. Although, do we want to always, I have mixed feelings, as I said, because do we want to open up drain fees? Anything connected to the wastewater system is going to come with a fee. It costs money, okay? So, and to process anything costs money. So, the people need to know that. Oh, it sounds like a great idea, but you have to be aware that it comes with a fee. There's going to be some cost levied to your townships and your communities and things. I'm not saying it's a bad idea. I'm saying that people should be well aware, not get blindsided, not get caught. Ooh, I just bought a nice farm in Cazenovia. All of a sudden, ooh, what's this huge fee? Okay, so it'd just be nice if they spent more time on communicating with the communities and actually letting them have a say-so in it. So or at least advice or input at least.
So you think basically before the Drain Commissioner does anything that would involve somebody in a township or any municipality,
at least get their input.
At least get their input before he does it.
Yeah, not just the people themselves
right.
that are going to be affected. Not just go ask their commissioner. Well, even now the commissioners don't even get a vote. If the Drain Commissioner could do what he wants.
So talk about a little bit more about.
So that made me want to get involved and it's been like I said, I've been in the excavating and construction business, which is, by the way, should be a requirement for it is a construction position. It is a building contractor's position, or it should be. It is construction work, which I've been excavating. I've been in the ditches digging those myself. Okay, even within the last couple of years, been with backhoes. You know, not with a shovel. Okay, but you should be a contractor. I've held a contractor's license and run the business for the last 15 years. My opponent hasn't got a contractor's builder's license. He hasn't even built. There's no experience at it. But he has got a bureaucratic experience. He has great experience at raising money and charging fees and enforcing zoning ordinances on people, and that's where his experience lies, is establishing these type of things that he's going to go in and do. And I think everybody in the long run, sooner or later, is going to find out it's going to cost them money.
You said earlier that the Drain Commissioner has the power to levy fees just on his own?
The Drain Commissioner can make decisions all on his own and levy fees. He can make decisions on a hunch. And that's why I look at it and go, you need someone who is actually loyal to the people and to the citizens and careful about just running up a bill. Those $7,000, $8,000 sewer assessments and water assessments that some people needed and some people felt was quite a burden. Well, what happens when we get more fees and costs? Yeah, they actually, in fact, there is a written, I had it written down, but yeah, the Drain Commissioner has the right to actually do that without any vote from the people.
So it's a pretty powerful office then.
Very. But not so much powerful as being able to control other people, but powerful in the manner that it can be abused really easily if you have special interest in mind, if you have people that maybe would like certain drains run certain areas or things being done. If you want to assess fees, you can raise fees and assess fees anytime you want. So you really want someone who's more conscious and careful about the people and what's good for them. Sure, that's nice, all this stuff is nice to have, but we gotta look at the price tag together before just doing it. And I see a lot of times, like in Dalton Township, they voted down the sewer. They didn't want city sewer hookup. They found a loophole forcing most of them to hook up.
Who was the they that found the loophole?
Well, the people that were in charge of the sewer connections at the time. The thing is that a lot of people didn't feel the need to, and they may or may not, in some areas, of course, there was. Some areas, they may not have been, but they were running past there and they felt that. But the ticket on it was extremely high, $7,000 and $8,000 to hook up the city sewer, and the cost. Whether it was right or wrong, it's the fact is we don't want to get blindsided, okay? I'm not saying it was wrong, I'm saying it was, the people don't need it as a surprise. Let's not be surprised about that there's going to be some money spent.
Well, if the people voted it down in Dalton Township.
Not really sure how they found the loophole to, but that's what I understand, that's just what I heard and understood. But the majority of the people did not want it.
I would think that if the majority of the people didn't want something, and I've seen that happen before where sometimes the township board then overrules it, goes ahead and does it anyway.
And that could have been very well what happens.
And that's,
but the general majority of the people did not want it. And I think input from your people, after all, you are their servant. I'm here to serve. You are their servant. You're supposed to be doing what's best for them and what their wishes are. And if the majority of wishes are, the board should not have overruled their wishes, in my opinion, unless it was a total safety issue that someone could get injured. But if it's not a safety issue, you should go with the wishes of the people that you serve.
Well, that's what I would think too. It'd be a question of, okay, look, folks, this is what the issue is, and if it's up to you, but we're going to give you all the facts necessary to make a knowledgeable and informed decision. It shouldn't be that hard for any government to do that.
Yes, exactly. Well, right now, there's things going on that are just on their way, and there's really no input at all. The Casnovia and those areas, from my understanding, is they don't have a choice in it. But there is a problem there, where even right now that their system is at the brink, where something has to be done. And even if even if there's no other alternative, they at least should be aware of the cost that they will have to burden in the future for the system that's going to be connected to the wastewater. They at least need to be aware of it.
So essentially you're saying that Casnovia's system is maxed out, and now the next topic of discussion is, okay, let's get them to hook up to the wastewater system, and then along with that comes fees. Is that what I'm hearing?
Well, there's already a $1 million project being conducted to connect.
Okay. Is this going to be one of those situations where this happened back in Norton Shores in the late 70s, early 80s, where the people were told, you're getting sewers whether you want them or not?
Oh, that's the way it's always been. You're getting sewers where you, and my opponent has been the number, that's what he's been, exactly what he's been doing for the last 15 years. That was his job. So he's going to continue doing work as usual, and really it makes a good infrastructure, but at cost to some people and burdens some people. Now, even 6, 7 years ago, 8 years ago, it was tough enough to hit $8,000 and $10,000 assessments. But now, with the economy the way it is, we got to watch every dime that our people have to spend. You know, so our citizens need to at least be well aware so they can prepare to weather a storm.
Isn't the plan to run a sewer line from Whitehall all the way to the wastewater system? And isn't that why Dalton was included? Because they're basically in the middle of it, so to speak. It's on the way down Whitehall Road.
I'm not really sure how far they planned on going to the ends of the earth, if they could, but I don't know how far they were going to actually make it there. That obviously that plan stopped. They haven't been extending that any longer. The reason they want to go to Twin Lake with this other thing is bring water in. to the wastewater system.
Well, now you're aware that there's some houses in Dalton Township that have well water that's contaminated, polluted, and essentially very unsafe. Could the drain commissioner take any role in running water to people that need it, or is that solely?
That's actually not the drain commissioner's role. Drain commissioner is supposed to be dealing with watershed areas, storm water, and things like that. That's why even in the Urbana area, it's a borderline whether this is actually sewage that we're dealing with versus rainwater. Okay, they've got a system at its capacity out there, or almost, that needs to be expanded and everything. And when you look at the product that's there, it's more sewage than it is thing. So it might be justified to have to hook this, and it is, to they're doing a large field at the wastewater system to be able to run off into and filter it. And like I said, I'm not saying it's not justified. It's just that I don't want to see it blindsiding and people not being prepared for the cost that they're going to have to incur in keeping it running and so on. As far as the water issues in Dalton Township, and a couple of them, I'm not sure that the drain commissioner surely can affect helping clean up the groundwater by making sure that the runoff is being transported to a right location, maybe put some good retention ponds in an area that has problems, and that could help the groundwater contamination. But as far as running city water there, that wouldn't be the drain commissioner's job.
What about a situation where, let's say, I'm going to use Casnovia Township for an example because A, you brought it up, and B, it sits at the easternmost portion of the county. Couldn't they make some type of an arrangement with, say, Kent County or Ottawa County instead of Muskegon County, seeing as how they're geographically so close?
That's absolutely where I wanted to go with this. Why should Muskegon County bear the whole brunt of the cost for this? Exactly. Yes, that's exactly where I was. But there's certain things that, you have to discuss with them, and I think that that's very, very viable, that they would participate.
Now, the flip side of that is you've got areas right around the wastewater, Newaygo County, Kent and Ottawa counties again. Couldn't they go ahead and make an arrangement with the county of Muskegon, seeing as how we've got all this excess capacity at the wastewater?
I think that's where they're thinking about, if this system works the way we expect it will, even though it is going to be a cost, and so on, we expect that we can sell others on it, and therefore, of course, bring in more money to help facilitate and run our wastewater system by utilizing it. But I think we have to show them first that in the long run, it's going to be better for them. And that is true. In the long run, it's a good system. It just that I think everybody needs to have input and be well aware and know that there is going to be some cost and some burdens. But that is the inevitable goal, is to bring them in and say, look what we got, look at how this is working, come on over here and let me charge you to utilize our system.
Commercial farmers, what's the drain commissioner's role with them? You hear these commercial farms that have like 5,000 head of cattle.
Well, that's pretty much the whole, what's causing this capacity out there in Ravenna area, or Casnovia, is that's what's causing that capacity. That's what's going on. And they are, and really, the farmers do a great, what is it, GOP, as you want to call it, or whatever. Okay, their product that they put out is larger than what most people even can fathom. Probably more than half the manufacturers here in the county.
Right.
And so, but yeah, and that is why. But see, I think most of the big corporations are well aware of what's going on, and they know that they're going to have to pay the burden. I think I was more concerned with some of the smaller farms that will have to share the burden.
Tell us a little bit more about your background as far as running offices, managing people, things like that. Because the drain commissioner, well, he doesn't have a large staff. He does have a staff that works for him. And,
right. Running offices and managing people, I've been training and people As I stated, when I was just a youth at 21, I started a restaurant, which successfully ran for about 6 years, and then I sold it and went on to other things. Probably I was in my late 20s when I I've been running a construction company with 3 or 4 crews, real estate brokerage, electronic engineering company. So I've had, and all kind of balancing at the same time. Before the economy, I actually had a small electronic engineering company, and I managed 3 or 4 people there. I manage currently at least 3 assistants in my office right now. And I'm all set up, and I have a great delegating experience. So I'm able to delegate very well. Right now, my construction company will continue with the people that I've trained and I trust to be able to treat our customers with a top-notch experience that we've always showed them. Now, so I've been overseeing construction crews, real estate agents. Back in the 80s, mostly 80s and 90s, I did real estate brokerage. I had many agents under me, and I was always the guy to come to. Okay, there's a problem, so I have to come in with my cape and save the day. And everyone, oh, Josh, the sky is falling. So that's my job. I come in, and even now, I save the day all the time. Other real estate brokers have problems with mold and things, especially with all the houses that are vacant and so on. And other companies, other areas will charge just ridiculous amounts of money. So I come in with my cape and save the day and call up some, they know enough to call me now, and I charge a fair price. I don't overcharge them. I don't gouge them, and they know that. And I'm set up to have the people that work for me are still going to be able to give them that good service and keep it at a fair price. And that saves the deals, because I know that these real estate agents, if they're being overcharged, they can't put the deal together. So that's kind of, we've all got to work together, and that's the way it's always been. So yeah, I've had quite a bit of experience in overseeing not only just construction crews, office staff. Like I said, I've overseen engineers, an electronic engineering company. I oversee and manage over 40 rental houses as well. So, that's okay. I'm very good at diversified multitasker, and very good at being able to recognize how to delegate things to someone that I trust. And trust is a really important thing. You have to trust.
Talk about flooding in Muskegon County. We rarely have the problem, but once in a great while you'll be going down a road and you're thinking, is this a road I'm going down, or somehow does turn my car into a road?
Well, I have very first-hand knowledge of that. I own property on the Muskegon River. Okay, and I've monitored stormwater, I've monitored the rivers and lakes for years. Because I own property on the river, I care about the river. I want the river clean, I want it safe. And I don't want my property flooding, but it does. So every few years, and we prepare for it and do small little things that we know are gonna kind of help us weather it. It really has been a lot better since they changed the rules. Of course, back in the 80s, when they were able to do things differently, and I call it hoarding the water up before the dam, that can run into problems if a dam has a problem, and of course flooded the valley, as we know, in '86. But being right there on the water, I paid close and very special attention. I monitored storm waters, and yes, I've come down my road at my property and had to stop and launch my boat and drive my boat down the road to my property and rescue some things. So I know very, very well about flooding, and I have a great idea of how to help with that. But one thing's true is Mother Nature will do what Mother Nature's going to do, and sometimes you really have to prepare for it. And that's why it's very important to make sure what runoff is going into the river.
How does the drain commissioner fully police that to make sure that the things are going into the river and eventually going into the lakes, Lake Michigan, etc., is clean and non-polluting?
Well, fully police is a tough thing, but as best as you can. I mean, as far as going out, there's a lot of different things you're looking at. There's still people going out and actually dumping into small creeks and ponds out in areas that hardly anybody goes to. You have to be aware of that. You got to talk to people and ask them, and I do. I ask people, hey, do you know of any instances like this? So you have to go out and police that stuff and find those instances. As far as the rain runoff into the river itself, Muskegon River is extremely clean. It really is, as comparison to most rivers in the country. It really is a very clean river. Not that, we're still getting some nitrates and some things, especially down closer to Muskegon Lake, that way. But, a lot of what we're doing is in an area where you're getting a lot of runoff that might be from farms or something, you want to try to put a detention or retention pond in those areas. And it's not that hard to do. And that always helps. If you detain it for a little bit and then sift it off to another way, you can easily help so that the water is going to come back more clean and more pure.
Well, if you did that to where you're detaining the water or diverting it from the river and the stream, what part does the wastewater plant play in that as far as diverting it to the wastewater, getting it
Well, that
out?
wastewater should never, the thing is there's a law in the books for at least 80 years that wastewater and stormwater are not supposed to connect. It's a law. So we cannot have wastewater going into the river or into the stormwater. Those, even though that's going out to the wastewater system, those two sections are not supposed to connect. Granted, what if you have a tornado? You could push all that sewer right up those trenches to your farmland. That's a scary thought. Even having the marsh field in the facility of the wastewater system with a catastrophic event, it's possible, So we want to be very careful, make sure we put some check valve systems in so that you have a check valve system. Another thing that they don't do, and I was thinking about this just earlier today, is I've been in the construction business for years, and when we have a wet basement, we put a drain tile in, okay? A drain tile that you dig it up and you put a perforated hose with stone around it, and it's a great system. It diverts the water, drain tile. Okay, we're not using that system to drain commission. You know what we do instead? We let it grow up, we cut it down, we let it grow up, we cut it down, we wait till trees are this huge, and then chop them all down, and guess what? They're going to grow back again. Now, as long as we're already there, and I got to look into this. I'm thinking the possibility that as long as we're already there, and we're already cleaning up this trench, and if we know this trench is a repeated problem, why wouldn't we put a round drain tile in there with stone, which is not very expensive, and we're going to have to maintenance it a whole lot less. We could be running these just like we should have been doing it for years. And that's one of the things I was going to kind of keep to myself, but oh well. But we should, and so we're running these when we do an improvement, and we run this simply a cleanup of a drain that we know has been a repeated problem drain, we should look at the possibility of putting in a drain tile. And then if it does get overgrown too fast, it's still going to flow. You're not going to have something falling in the middle of it. They're continually going there. If they have a tree falls over into the drain, they have to go in there, tear it out, rip it out, or whatever, cut it out. And sometimes there's just mud got in the way, and so they're coming down through, and there's a stack of mud there. So now our drain system is not flowing properly. That wouldn't happen if you had a drain tile. It's simply a round hose with slits in it, with stone around it. There you go.
So it sounds like you could go ahead and keep a problem from happening to begin with.
Save a lot of money in the long run.
Exactly.
For all of your maintenance and upkeep.
Exactly. Okay. Is there anything else you'd like to discuss that we didn't touch on yet?
Well, I've just been winging it off the top of my head, so I probably, when I leave here, I'll think, oh, I should have said this, I should have said that, I should have said this, okay? So I do want to just simply say that I am doing this to serve the people and try to do what's right. I went non-party, no party affiliation, because in this position, it's really, to me, it shouldn't even be a Democrat or Republican thing, or it shouldn't be a political thing. This is a construction type job, and it should be taken more seriously as for the loyalty of the people. So, my opinion is that This is a job of great responsibility, and it's not a joke, and it needs to be taken seriously and done in a proper manner that is for the best of all the people and trying to do the best for them and not for special interests or a certain group of people that wants you to do a certain thing. So if there's a guy who's going to look into things and make sure that's the right thing to do, it's going to be me.
Should the drain commissioner, I'm pretty much, I think I'd be safe in saying that you feel it shouldn't be Republican or Democrat, but.
It should be nonpartisan all the way.
Right. But should the drain commissioner even be an elected office? Couldn't the county hire you as, they'd hire some other department?
You got to
head?
watch that again, because if they appoint somebody and this person has the ability to levy anytime he feels like, not so much feels like, you got to justify, but if a drain commissioner feels this is a good idea, he doesn't have anybody to answer to. It's a good idea, I want to do it, I can do it, okay? I can levy taxes, I can do this and that, okay? Now, if you make that appointed, they get to even appoint the person that has that kind of, can exercise that right to levy taxes. So I think it should stay an elected, but I think it should be nonpartisan, and that it shouldn't be because it's not a political type of position at all. It's a construction, someone that's knowledgeable, but it is something where somebody should be a servant of the people and trying to do, because it is a position where it could be abused if you don't watch and be very careful. It is a position that could be.
So basically it should be answerable to the people rather than
Absolutely.
the county board.
And if he doesn't do his job, by golly, you should be able to fire him by
Right.
the people. And the thing is, they usually find out too late. So I'm really hoping that people pay attention and, you know, let them know that the things that the infrastructure we want and deserve comes with a price, and it does cost money, but I just want them to be knowledgeable of that and have some input. And whether that now is the time. Well, hey, if we can get Kent County paid for it, that would be. That'd be great. So, anyhow, I think it's going to be an enjoyable. I think I have a really extremely good chance of winning this.
All right.
Very good chance.
Okay, well, thanks for taking some time and spending it with us today, and good luck in the race.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.